Blah, 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 blah.
If I have to use the bathroom while we're recording, can we pause?
Yeah, just take the microphone with you.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Nerd Switch podcast. My name is Dylan, and joining me once again today is my good friend and fellow nerd Jeremiah.
I am here. It is fun. I'm not being held against my will at all.
That's right. So,
Today is about movies.
Yes. So, we did a previous episode where we kind of recapped our Game of the Year choices from 2010 all the way up to 2021. So today we're just going to be doing something pretty similar here with movies. Once again, we're just nearing the end of the year, and it's about that time that we're going to be making our lists for this year. But since we started our show here in 2022, we just want to give you guys some background on what we enjoy, if you're interested. So yeah, we'll be going all the way back from 2010 to 2021. With a few mentions from pre-2010 if we have them. I have like 4.
I have a few, for sure.
So we'll structure it pretty much the same way here and try and keep it lean and neat for you guys. So with that, let's go ahead and flip the switch and talk about some of our favorite movies from years past. Ba, 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 ba. What's the star? So kicking it off here, our pre-2010 honorable mentions. My first one's in 2006. If you have one earlier, just feel free to mention.
Yeah, I kind of went back a little bit further. I was looking at your list you had first given me. I tried to kind of like compare and compete a bit.
Yeah.
So I went back as far as I could go to some of the movies I really wanted to mention, which went back all the way to 2000, up to 2009, and that was taking so long because there are so many childhood movies in there. So a lot of the movies we're picking, we're going to go kind of based on like stuff I've watched when I'm older that I really enjoyed, and then I'm putting it for that movie's like that year as my favorite movie.
Yeah, I could, like, if I wanted to fill it up with childhood movies, I could, but I don't think I was necessarily critiquing movies at that age.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, we don't really have to really clarify that movies back then are way better. So, here's some of, like, our movies. One of the movies I have is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I don't even know what that is.
Super interesting movie. I had to watch it for one of my high school tech classes. Looking back, no clue why we watched it. I know we were watching it for like a lot of like the set design and everything. But it's basically a George Clooney movie. The 3 friends, they're all were arrested, put into kind of like a chain gang. This is like older times. And they are in prison. They are part of the chain gang, having to work along the roads while being watched by a warden. And they do a great escape. And it's just a hilarious tale of them escaping, trying to get out of there, find their stash of money they have, and George Clooney's character, he's trying to get back with his wife and children.
George Clooney's Shawshank Redemption?
Pretty much. A couple other movies. 2000 was like Frequency and American Psycho. Great movies.
I've always wanted to watch American Psycho.
I watched it with my friend. I really enjoyed it. It's quite a crazy movie. Like, the acting for it is phenomenal. I go up to 2001, which is A Knight's Tale. Just great childhood. I watched it a lot when I was young, and watching it still as I'm older. So, really good Heath Ledger movie, you know.
I guess pre, 2010, I was just uncultured with movies.
I have a very good list. I definitely will say I was definitely an avid movie person.
Yeah.
And I just grew up with so much.
I mean, I could name movies like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man trilogy. What was another one I liked back then?
I kind of kept them out too, because like I said, anything that's like highly named, I want to keep out. But these movies, these are movies that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
So.
The Pokemon movie.
Yeah, love those. Pokemon 2000.
SpongeBob.
For 2002, I had Mr. Deeds. It was hilarious. That was like one of my first Adam Sandler movies.
Ugh.
I like him, okay? He's got good movies. He does a good job.
Yeah, okay.
2003 was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. This is a movie I think you would actually like. Also, 2003 had Underworld, which has Kate Beckinsale. And
yeah, we know why you like that movie.
I actually like it because it was a good vampire and werewolf movie at the time. Way better than Twinkling Vampires.
Jeremiah's just like, leather.
I mean, Kate Beckinsale, but that's beside the point. At the same time, we also had, what was it? Bruce Almighty was hilarious. A good Jim Carrey movie. 2006, if you're a fan of magicians, The Prestige.
That was, what's his name?
That's Hugh Jackman and,
No, the director.
I don't know the director.
Isn't that the same guy that did the movies that, Lance always, fanboyed about?
Is it him? I'm looking it up. Hold up.
I forget his name.
Yeah, it is a Christopher Nolan.
Ah.
Yeah.
Shout out, Lance. You're a fanboy.
I mean, this is honestly, in my opinion, The Prestige was a better movie than any of his other ones.
Yeah.
The Batman movies are great, but this movie has such a twist and turn throughout the entire movie. It's keeping you guessing the entire time. This is a great magician movie. To really see, both the shock and awe of an audience to watch a magician, but then you also get to see the magician side. It's having you go back and forth all the time, the way the story was told. And then, for
I do have a 2006.
You do have a 2006?
Yeah. Didn't watch it in 2006, because no way. But 300.
Here's the thing, I never could watch it.
Well, yeah, me neither. I appreciate it now.
I wish I would watch it. Maybe someday I will.
You still haven't seen it?
I still haven't seen it. I never could watch it. I never was too interested in it at the time, when it came out. And I remember so many people loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care for a bunch of men.
I mean, yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but I attribute this movie for being a big reason that I took a lot of interest in kind of other cultures that way. That's what led to me being more fascinated with Vikings.
That is cool. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has nothing to do with Vikings, but I was looking into the whole Spartan culture, and that led to me becoming a Norse weeb somehow. So, thank you, 300.
Good job, 300. Was that your earliest? Was 2006 then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went from 2003 to 6 because I could have kept going, but it was just taking forever. And I was like, okay, I'm going to shorten this bit.
Yeah.
2007, I had 1408. By 2008, I have two movies in there. It's The City of Ember and The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah, my 2008 is a foreign movie called Let the Right One In. It was a Swedish film about a vampire.
Swedish, huh?
Yes. And definitely not one I watched back then, but I think for me, around 2014 or something, I started getting a lot more interest in foreign movies, and this is one that I watched that I've always kind of held in high regard. This is, in my opinion, the best way to try and approach a vampire story without being cringy or dumb about it. It's just a good one. And they remade it. I did not like the remake. They Americanized the shit out of it.
Yeah, no, I never saw Let the Right One In. I did see Let Me In, and I regret ever watching that, because that one's just freaking weird.
I don't know. It's a good story to try and tell again, but the way they did it just seemed like they lost the point of what that first one was about.
Mm-hmm.
But I do highly recommend it.
My 2009 option is the movie 9, which is even funny that it's 2009.
That's funny too, because mine for 2009 is District 9.
Yeah. District 9 and Watchmen are my two honorable mentions there. But 9 is... I really loved the movie. Like, it has such a good, like, animation for it. It's like a dark, futuristic world.
Yeah, I think as far as like actually critiquing movies go, District 9's the first movie that I would put probably in my top 10 movies.
Yeah.
I love Neil Blomkamp, and this was like the first movie he did, but there's the unofficial trilogy, which all of his movies are on my list. Maybe not like movie of the year, but District 9 just very good.
It was a very good movie. It's hilarious that it was trying to be Halo.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting is Neil Blomkamp originally was trying to do a Halo movie, and then
it turned into District 9.
Yeah, someone told him no somewhere, and he's like, "Well, f you, I'll just make it my own movie," and it was probably better. I don't know how a Halo movie would have turned out, but
I know, especially for at that time.
Yeah. That's all I have for pre-2010.
Yeah, that's all my pre-2010s.
So let's jump up to 2010 here. I have another foreign movie that I did not watch in 2010, but part of my foreign movie renaissance, and it's I Saw the Devil, a movie that was made in South Korea.
I know you really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about it before.
It's like a thriller, very cat and mouse. Like you have your detective who his girlfriend or wife or fiance or something was murdered by this serial killer, and he goes out trying to figure out who it is, and when he finally finds the guy, he then initiates this hunt. But it's what makes it interesting is every time he catches him, he just wounds him. Like he gives him a really bad injury and then lets him go. And he's like, the movie plays with the idea of both of them being kind of psychotic like that, because every time he catches him, he just messes him up a little bit, but then he lets him go so he can hunt him again. And it leads to a really good conclusion. It's a very violent movie.
Sounds like one.
Yeah. It can be hard to watch for sure, but it's definitely one of my favorite foreign movies.
Mine's also like a mix. It's Studio Ghibli. And it's a mix, though, of Disney characters. The actors for it. I forget their names. But we know them from Wizards of Waverly Place. But this show was called Arrietty. It's very interesting. It's kind of like a Japanese take for the movie The Borrowers, which is the idea of you have your normal person living in their home, things go missing in their house. Tiny things you don't notice. Like you may be like, I thought I had this here. It's gone. Where'd the thimble go? And what it is it's tiny people living also in their house, in the walls, under the floor, building their own little home in there. And this movie, Arrietty, is the same thing. It's animated by Studio Ghibli. And it's just these characters meet. You have a boy who's sick, who he's needing like a serious surgery, but he's out visiting his, I believe it's his aunt, that lives out in this countryside in Japan, and he starts to notice those little things missing, and he gets to meet one of the little people that's living at our house. Oh. And it's like just kind of like a nice little story, super fun to see. If you've ever played the game Grounded, it's very similar.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hold Studio Ghibli in pretty high regard. I've only ever seen one of their movies, I think.
Really? I've seen at least quite a few of them, and I love Studio Ghibli. I only have like maybe one or two Studio Ghibli in here as honorable mentions.
I know they do a lot of the more like traditional hand-drawn animations, so I do think that is a feat to be recognized and applauded.
So honorable mentions, I guess, for like my 2010 was like The Social Network. It's a fantastic movie, just about Mark Zuckerberg and how he made Facebook. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Came out in 2010, and it's a hilarious movie.
Yeah, both movies I haven't seen.
I'm surprised. I know somebody was telling me they love Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's Sam.
Is it Sam?
Yeah. When we had him on for the Everything Everywhere All at Once review.
Yeah.
He was kind of talking about it.
Okay. I guess it was him that I was recently remembering, because I was like, somebody really loved this movie.
Yeah.
The movie Red. It's a think it's acronym is what it stands for, because it's Retired Extremely Dangerous.
Yeah,
Hilarious Bruce Willis movie.
I do remember seeing that one.
And then another movie, this one's debatable for other people, but I enjoyed it, and that is Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
I loved the movie because I also enjoyed the first Tron. It's nerdy, it's the idea of going into a video game world.
Yeah.
That's awesome, you know.
It's okay, I can't criticize you. I've got some questionable movies on my list.
What are your honorable mentions for 2010?
I actually did not have any for 2010.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure if I looked up the year, I could probably find a couple, but it's just I Saw the Devil's the only one I really have high praise for from what I remember that year.
Well then, tell us about your 2011.
So, like I was saying about having questionable movies on my list.
What is your 2011? I'm worried.
It is Transformers, Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, ever since 2007, 11-year-old me was a massive fanboy for Transformers. And admittedly, I know most of the movies are bad, but I feel like this one was actually pretty decent.
See, I mean, I had a few things I could clarify was very inappropriate in some cases.
Transformers 2 was very inappropriate. 3 was a more serious movie, I think.
Three had good things. Like it had a lot better set up. You definitely had your awesome fight scenes for Transformers.
Yeah, I loved a lot of the setup. Like you get Sentinel Prime, which I think was one of the more interesting antagonists they actually used in one of these movies.
See, I did watch a lot of Transformers as a kid, and one of my go-tos for being a kid was an animated movie, The Transformers, the movie.
Yeah.
And that one was great to watch as a kid.
Yeah, I got the Coronation Starscream over there on my Transformers shelf, so I do like that movie as well. Yeah, I just, admittedly, it's a bias. I just like Transformers, and seeing this movie at the time in theaters, I thought it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. I do like those memories. I
still think it holds up compared to some of the others, because I admit, there are some really bad movies in this series, but I like this one. What about your pick?
My pick is the movie Limitless. Yeah, it stars Bradley Cooper. He's the guy from Hangovers. But basically, he's a writer, not going anywhere in life right now. He is not doing well. He's struggling with relationships, kind of lost his girlfriend, losing, he's not getting his writing done, so then he's not getting his books out. He's struggling. Along comes a friend that gives him a drug that actually kind of unlocks more capability of using all parts of your brain, being able to not Lucy but remember everything. So you literally can just have a photographic memory.
You read my mind. I was like, Lucy?
This is pre-Lucy, so Lucy copied this technically. Yeah. But he takes the pill and he's able to do so much all at once. He's remembering everything to being able to he was able to learn and multitask everything at once. You see him kind of take the drug. He goes back to his apartment. He starts cleaning the apartment while writing his book, while talking to other people and learning other things. And he starts doing all this stuff to just better his life. And it's a crazy story because then this drug is a secret to the world. Only a few people know, and the people that know want to keep it a secret. And it's used by very powerful people in politics and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's considered a illegal drugs use still. Because the drug itself is bad. It affects the body. If you're not on it, you can have a heart attack. And it affects the brain because your bodies can't keep up on that without it, basically. Yeah. But it's a super good movie. I really enjoyed watching it. And then I guess I do have a few honorable mentions for 2011. Do you have a few as well, or
just a couple?
If you have a couple, I have you read yours first.
Yeah, first one, just Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
It's a good movie. Yeah. I did enjoy that one. That's the new one, right?
That is so the new trilogy, the first movie in that new trilogy, which I think of that new trilogy, it's probably the weakest movie, but I think it was for the time pretty good.
I really enjoyed it at that time.
Yeah.
I really
No, I think
liked
it's
it.
a great movie. I think it's eclipsed by the middle movie with, what was that called? Something.
Yeah. There's
But
Rise, Dawn, and
Dawn, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm actually a fan of like the original Planet of the Apes movie, so I thought it was cool to see it get a modern remake.
Yeah.
And I think it was good. I love Andy Serkis. He's a great
Yeah, no,
actor.
he's great for a lot of stuff.
I also had The Cabin in the Woods.
I do as well, actually.
Yeah.
Super good movie. I was surprised at how good it was.
Yeah, no, I just love its approach to being like satirical horror comedy. It's
I love the idea of a dark universe, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, I love all the different monsters that they have. That they're just things in their world that go bump in the night, basically.
Yeah.
And this facility just captured a ton of them.
Yeah, I think it was a very creative premise for a horror movie.
The idea when they all broke, when they like did the what is it? Not lockdown, but they freed them all, jailbreaked everybody, and that whole facility is just being torn apart by everything. You see the security camera footage. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is insane.
Yeah, that's one of those movies you want to pause at every frame to see like who all's there, because there's a lot of well-known movie monsters that are kind of in the background. So that's all I have for my honorable mentions for that year, though.
I've got quite a few, I guess I can say. Minus Cabin in the Woods. I also have another favorite of mine growing up was Real Steel.
Oh, okay.
Another Hugh Jackman movie, and it involves robot boxing, which was very interesting. And I thought it was just a really good movie at the time.
I actually think that one holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, you think it would be like pretty cheesy, but I remember it doing a pretty good job with it.
They did a really good job. It's a good like kind of father-son movie,
Yeah.
you know, because it's building up like a father's relationship.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed it. Another good movie I have is Hugo. Super 8 was also really good. In Time was... I liked it. I liked the premise and idea of it. And then the last one is the movie Paul. That's a...
Paul Blart?
No,
Walcott?
this is the other Paul, the alien Paul.
So now let's move on up to 2012. I only have one movie, no honorable mentions, and it's just Prometheus.
I have that in my honorable mentions.
I'm a massive Alien fan, and despite this one having some people that didn't really like it, I quite enjoyed it. I know there's some dumb logic, science stuff, and people make bad decisions, but sometimes, your movie's got to have something to drive the plot forward. But I just think, like... Visually, this movie was stunning. I liked a lot of the performances, and I liked that they were trying to set up a prequel to the original Alien, which sadly looks like it'll never be finished, but I think it's a good time.
I really enjoyed the movie, honestly. Like, I'm not sure. Like, what do you mean by, like, the scientific or what?
Like the whole thing where they go into the alien structure and people are like taking off their helmets, and you had the one dude that was like touching the gooey thing, and people just doing stuff you probably wouldn't in that kind of situation, but
I guess.
It's movie logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have for 2012.
I mean, it's not, xenomorph aliens, but it's still aliens.
Yeah.
My movie is John Carter.
Okay. That one, I think, arguably just as many people say was not that good.
I, at first agreed with some people. Like, when it first came out, I had no care for this movie. I was like, I'm not going to like this movie at all.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it, didn't know anything about it, but in high school, we watched it during, our lunch hours. And I was like, oh, this movie's awesome. It came on TV. I recorded the whole thing and then I showed it to my family, and we all really liked it. We're like, oh, we need our second movie for this. Because it just did so well, in my opinion. I loved it.
I don't really remember it all that well. Yeah.
I really liked the idea of it. Thought it was cool. I liked the idea that he's from Earth. His muscle structure is based on Earth's gravity, but on Mars, he can jump farther and higher because Mars has, a different gravity than Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember not being crazy about it.
The other movie that, would be my top, but John Carter I just enjoyed a lot as well. But my other movie for that time was Chronicle. It is definitely my go-to if you want someone if you want to learn about telekinesis and what the abilities can have. This is what we would do with that kind of power. If I was like, oh, if I somehow just became that powerful and had telekinesis, this is some of the stuff I would have done with my friends.
Did you have any other ones for 2012?
No, those were my 2012, so
Okay.
we can go to 2013.
Yeah, 2013, another short year for me. My number one pick was Elysium, which is the second movie from Neil Blomkamp in that unofficial trilogy. Matt Damon's in the movie. This one, did you see Elysium?
I did see Elysium, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this one, like, it just solidified. I think it's even better than District 9, and it really solidified Neil Blomkamp as being one of my favorite directors. Sharlto Copley plays the bad guy in this one, whereas he was the main protagonist in District 9, but I thought he just did a killer job.
Yeah.
And yeah, really solid sci-fi movie. Plays a lot with the themes of, like, high class versus low class and trying to
I
bridge
love
the gap.
it's good like storytelling and everything, but it like also just makes me upset too because it's like you have this ability and you're just gonna withhold it because you feel like it.
Yeah.
I hate those kinds of things.
I thought it was really good. One I hold in high regard. And then just my only honorable mention for that year is just The Lone Survivor. Just a really good military movie.
I feel like I remember it. I don't think I saw it.
It's the one with Mark Wahlberg. It's just a squad of 4 that's going up against the group of, I don't know if it was the Taliban or something, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think I ever watched that one. I remember hearing about them all the time, but I don't think I saw that one. For the year of 2013, this movie it kind of brought in some really great cast, had awesome storytelling and a great twist, and that was Now You See Me. For a movie to there's a lot of times a lot of movies always feel very predictable. You can kind of see what's going to happen, and that kind of it doesn't bring the rating for the movie down, but sometimes you're just like, oh, I kind of saw it coming, And this is one of those movies that isn't like that. I did not see its ending coming at all. It's kind of similar to having the magicians. You have the audience side being awed by the magicians being told to look where, which that's your expectation for it. But then to be able to still throw you for a loop is the audience's incredible awe. Like, how did they do that? Yeah. And then of course it still includes you in the end of how they did everything and getting to see the magician side of everything. And those are really cool movies to me.
Yeah, I remember liking it. I don't think I was super crazy about it. I guess I just don't really care about magicians.
I liked magic growing up. I definitely had my own magic phase.
I do love magic, just not that magic.
Well, I mean, that's the only magic we have here, so that's what I look at.
Magic the Gathering.
No, there's nothing magical about that, dude.
No, just spending money.
Yeah. Magic, how your bank just disappears and your friend says he's poor all the time.
Right. What about your
my honorable mentions for that year? I had at least 4. It looks like was my top horror movie came out that year is The Conjuring. Fantastic movie. I love the Conjuring series. I love the based on true events, being able to have a realistic and relatable cast and characters set up. I loved those movies. Those are some of my top favorite movies.
I still need to watch them, which is surprising even for me because I'm a pretty big fan of horror in general.
I'll watch them with you. It'll be fun.
I have not watched the Conjuring movies.
We'll watch RRR and then we can watch The Conjuring.
Ooh.
Some of my other ones was the Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I just felt like it had a really great message. I liked the movie a lot. It was fun, adventurous. It's funny, Ben Stiller recently did a God of War trailer.
Oh, yeah.
And he's dressed up as him. It's really fun. But, no, Ben Stiller, he's the main character for The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And yeah, I thought it was a great movie, just very adventurous.
Yeah.
My other 2 movies are Ender's Game, following the book series, the movie, I know, cannot compare. But growing up watching it, I enjoyed it.
I don't look back at any of those teen novel movie adaptations with any real respect, I guess. I think they did those to death at a certain point in time. Like, remember when you had Twilight coming out, Divergent coming out, Maze Runner, and
yeah, well, those were targeted audiences for other groups that we are not a part of.
yeah,
And then we have Ender's Game that's more targeted to, you know, strategy, video games. It's sci-fi. That's our targeted area, and I felt like that was a better one.
yeah.
Was it good towards the books? Absolutely not. Like, books, definitely read the books. They're way better. But I did enjoy watching the movie.
Yeah.
The other movie is Horns, which is a really random movie that Daniel Radcliffe did.
Is it a horror movie?
No, actually. It's not horror. It's Daniel Radcliffe, he's got his character, he's in love with his girlfriend, and things seem like wonderful with them. They've grown up together in their town. And his character, I don't remember his character's name, but he wakes up one morning, he was kind of drunk, and he started growing horns out of his head. His girlfriend had been murdered, and they kind of assume that he did it. And he doesn't really remember what happened the night that she was murdered. But he starts growing horns. And the weirdest thing is, like, as he's growing these horns, everybody can see them, but nobody questions them. They're just there. And the weirder thing is that when they look at them, they start kind of like telling out their secrets and the lies that they tell to other people. So everybody's like just being affected by him, and he starts to try to use this to find out who killed his girlfriend. And it's like super weird. Like, it's a very random movie. Do you ever see the Swiss Army Man?
I have not. That's one thing that's interesting, is ever since Harry Potter, it seems like Daniel Radcliffe's just trying to be in like the most outlandish movies.
I mean, he's in Akimbo Gun, Akimbos, and that movie was hilarious. Like, those movies are so funny, and I love the meme for it because he's literally Daniel Radcliffe in a bathrobe, funny looking slippers, holding guns in his hands, and the meme captions it out as, "I found something better than wands." No, it was a very interesting movie. It has a really good story, good characters again. It's funny, and I really enjoyed that movie.
Nice. And any others for 2013?
Not for 2013. I am finished.
Okay. Well, 2014 had a pretty big movie, one that's easily in my top 10, if not maybe top 5, but that is the first John Wick movie.
Hey, me too!
Yeah. I loved, like, the first time I watched this movie, I was just instantly in love with it. I've seen it a great many times now. I think it's the pinnacle of, this whole genre of movie, which we've seen try to be replicated time and time again after the success of John Wick, because it's just such a simple premise. And that's what I love about it. And they've tried to kind of redo it with other movies like Atomic Blonde and stuff like that never quite lived up to it. But I think this movie is just fantastic.
Yeah, no, John Wick is a fantastic movie just for like the backstory of the character, the character creations that they throw in there, the world creation that they've had.
Yeah, they definitely handcrafted this little universe and set it up very well with intriguing characters, and they don't go overboard on exposition and trying to explain stuff. That comes in a little more with the following movies in the series, but I just highly adore this movie for its simple premise but its effective execution.
Yeah, they've done a lot in there that are really good.
Yeah.
One of my honorable mentions is kind of like similar to it, is The Equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
It's Denzel Washington, and he's just this kind of calculated, not really cold, but controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very similar in that aspect, and I liked it just as much.
Yeah, I think 2014 was a pretty good year. I've got 4 honorable mentions. One of them is It Follows, which really good horror movie. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I don't think I've seen that one.
So it takes this premise of like, imagine if something was always coming after you. Only you could see it. No one else can see it around you. But it's only ever walking in a straight line to get to you. And you would think that would be boring and not very interesting, but the movie makes it work. One extremely effective scene where they're like up in the room and her friends are there trying to calm her down because they don't quite believe her yet. But you see her friend knock on the door, she lets her in, but then this very tall figure comes in right behind her friend, which is, I think, one of the most effective scares I've had in a horror movie without it even being a jump scare. So, really good.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd be more interested to watch, just a good horror movie is always like one of my favorite things, so be something interesting.
I also had Whiplash. I don't know if you've seen that one. It was the one with the drummer who had J. Jonah Jameson as a teacher.
I don't think I've seen that one, no.
Not J. Jonah Jameson, but whatever his name is.
Yeah.
The actor. Really good. I didn't think I would care at all for a movie about band class and drumming, but it's very, very good. Also, Ex Machina. Alex Garland. Just a really weird sci-fi movie. Very good. As well as, lastly, Winter Soldier, which will probably be the only Marvel movie that I bring up on this list.
Yeah, I kind of kept a lot of those out. Mine have like Interstellar, which I just really love, like space travel, space exploration. So that one's like really good. Kingsman is really fun action. I liked it a lot. The first one is great. I didn't really care too much for the second one as much. The second one had a lot more downhill, where the first one was just great all around. I really enjoyed the first one. And then Unbroken was a really good movie.
Oh, yeah. I did see that one.
That one was really good. I enjoyed it. And then we can move on to our very short 2015 for myself.
Oh, yeah? What you got?
I got Mad Max Fury Road.
Hey, me too.
Hey, 2 for 2. Let's go.
Nice.
I really enjoyed that movie. That was fantastic. I actually went and saw it with my brother and his friends when it first came out in theaters. And I didn't know what to expect of it. I never really saw the originals. But I've heard that it was really good, and I loved going to see it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, this is another one I've seen a good handful of times, and this is one I actually looked into a lot of the like behind the scenes stuff for, and it's really impressive how much they actually practically did with this movie. A lot of the driving is legitimate, and a lot of the stunts were done legitimately.
Yeah.
So, really good movie. Just high octane, a lot of action. It's a turn your brain off and just have fun.
Yeah, my only honorable mention was Jurassic World at the time.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed the Jurassic Park movies. This one brought it all back as like a fan reminiscing in like the past, being like, oh look, we're going back. It's all kind of more modern tech now, up to date.
Yeah.
Same problem.
Was this kind of the initial boom for the whole, like, reliving past movies movement?
Probably. I mean, this was around that time when things were coming back into fruition there, and they started remaking a lot of movies.
Right. We were getting, like, new Terminator movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
didn't see any of those.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not missing much, unfortunately.
Yep.
I didn't care too much for Jurassic World. I thought it was decent, but I don't know. I guess, like, you've seen everything like that already done in the previous Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah.
So, like, it was cool to see it again with modern technology. I still will appreciate the practical effects of the original Jurassic Park more, but I thought it was good overall. So that was your only honorable mention?
Yep.
So, okay. I had The Witch, one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Haven't seen it still, so
You gotta watch it. It's good. It's a slow burn, but I love it. Also, The Revenant, which was pretty dang good. Leonardo DiCaprio finally got his Oscar.
Yeah. I remember big hype for that movie. Never saw it.
Also, Chappie.
I heard a lot for that. I remember you talking about it all the time.
Yeah, it's the third movie from Neil Blomkamp. Definitely not as good as District 9 or Elysium, but it's a really fun story, and I like it. It's very unique, I guess. And then lastly, just Sicario, which is one of my favorite, I guess, dramas, if you will. But
really?
Has a Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt. It's all about the Mexican cartel and the police force kind of involved with that. And then we can jump on up to 2016. My movie of the year for that year was Hacksaw Ridge, the war movie with Andrew Garfield. Very brutal movie.
Yeah, I have that as my like honorable mention, and it's a fantastic movie. Like it is very serious, very it's not like your like a trying to think of good wording for it. It would be like it's more of a darker turn on war.
You see a lot of war movies try and kind of romanticize it. And they still do play like the hero's angle on this one because, and it is at least a real person who actually performed a lot of these feats, which is incredible. But while the movie recognizes what he did, it also very much shows you what comes with that territory, you know, something so brutal. And I just thought it was extremely well done.
Yeah. Another movie I really enjoyed, my pick for that movie or for that year is the movie Split. Okay. This was like a kind of one of those surprise movies that you weren't expecting, but it ties into the being a sequel for the movie Unbreakable, which is one of the Bruce Willis movies. Where in that movie he survives a train wreck with not a single scratch on him, and he meets a man though that is the entire opposite of him, where he is like all of his bones, muscles, they're literal glass. Like he has had like over 100 different hospital visits because he is completely breakable. Yeah. And then you have Bruce Willis's character who's unbreakable. And the movie Split is just a good twist. You've got what's his name? Is it James?
James McAvoy?
James McAvoy. That man is an incredible actor. Like, I'm surprised he doesn't get talked about more. The roles that he's played, the stuff that he's done so much. And a lot of people just don't talk about him. Like, he in this movie played, like, 7 different roles because his character has 23 different personalities.
Right.
And he's jumping from one character to the next, having to, like, totally change how he's acting, and he just does such a crazy good job.
Yeah, I do remember being excited for the movie because it also starred Anna Taylor-Joy, who found her stardom from The Witch.
Yeah.
So I don't think I liked it quite as much as you. I just don't like M. Night Shyamalan. I think he kind of sucks.
I don't see it. I always like, it's one of those things that it sounds like, this sounds like a hate for Nickelback almost to me, because it's like, what has he done that's terrible? I love The Village. There's such a twist, you know, like all of his movies are always something with a twist.
Yeah. That
you can tell. I like that though, because you may be expecting the twist, but you're not expecting what the twist is.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, he just kind of, he doesn't do the same thing with every movie, obviously, but I feel like he uses a lot of the same structuring in that sense. So I don't know. I don't want to go into every movie being like, all right, just give me the plot and then give me the twist, Mr. Shyamalan. I want you to do something different every movie. It doesn't always have to be some ridiculous plot twist, because we've seen some movies where it was just stupid. Like, I don't know if you saw Old.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no. I mean, Old was weird to begin with, but it definitely wasn't like a fantastic movie, but it wasn't a terrible one. I feel like aren't most of these, is it just like him making the movie, or is he basing it off other stories?
I feel like it's him making them, because I mean, he also had like The Happening with Mark Wahlberg that I heard a lot of people don't like. Something about plants. Yeah,
I remember what it was. It was very weird. I remember the trailers constantly in like other movies I watched. But like for him, I've never really had too much of a problem. Like, yes, it's always a twist. His movies are weird. But the fact that he is not basing something off of this then, that he is creating these movies on his own. He's coming up with the plots, the story.
Yeah, and
that's pretty impressive.
There are some really good ones, like The Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense
is a good one. I heard is it The Visit?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one that kind of like reignited him making movies.
Yeah, I remember The Visit coming out. A lot of people were talking about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just not the biggest fan.
I'll turn you into a fan. But Split was a great movie in my opinion. I really liked it. And then I guess my honorable mentions, I have like the second Conjuring movie again because I just love the Conjuring movies. It was a good year, I guess, for some horror. We also got The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Fantastic horror movie. I just really enjoyed it.
Did not see that one.
You might enjoy it. It's very it kind of involves a little bit of jump scare, but it's also like it's the monster is just affecting these people's minds. Whatever they're seeing isn't real, but it's still affecting them.
Like more of a psychological horror.
Yeah.
That does tie into one of my favorite movies from the year as well. But did you have any other honorables for that year?
I really enjoyed Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Only the first one, because I do enjoy the Harry Potter series, but this takes away from that, and I just like the world itself. Yeah. This, you get to really see adults, not children, fighting the evil in the world, but you just see adults doing their own thing with magic. Yeah. I love a magical world. Like, one of my go-to things is, like, would you rather live in a space-age world or a world here filled with magic?
Space.
I'm either or about it, because it's like if you go out into the universe, you might find a world that has magic, so you could have both. Or you can make this world just more interesting.
Yeah, I was never a massive Harry Potter fan. Like, I watched all the movies and read at least a couple of the books. But I guess I'm not super invested in it, so to get a spin-off. Like, I watched it, and it was fine, but I didn't really...
I grew up with Harry Potter, so I was always going to be a fan. Then my last one, or two I have, is Central Intelligence was hilarious. That's Kevin Hart and The Rock.
Yeah, I like Kevin Hart, but I don't know. Those are two actors that are the same in every movie they're in.
I mean, you're not wrong. But that's why I enjoy them. They're funny. I go for humor. I'm not expecting anything major. I enjoyed the humor of story, whatever they're going to come up with. And then, of course, my one other anime movie is Your Name. Was really good. I enjoyed it.
I do like that one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of anime movies, but that is one I've seen that I enjoyed.
Then did you have any more honorable mentions?
Yes. So, the kind of the psychological horror for me from 2016 is A Cure for Wellness.
I do remember that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting movie. It's one that definitely kind of pushes you to think a little bit, and it's more of a trippy, like, psychological one. It's just this guy that involuntarily kind of gets admitted to this wellness treatment center that uses a lot of hydrotherapy, and there's just some really cool visual stuff they do with it. And it's not perfect. There, like, one scene in particular at the end is kind of gross and probably just shouldn't be in the movie, but it's a really solid one. Hell or High Water, another one by the same director that did Sicario, was really good. Kind of not a straight up Western, but just a kind of heist or robbery movie about two brothers that's really good. And then as far as more basic entries for that year, just Rogue One and Civil War, both from Star Wars and Marvel. I think Rogue One is, in my opinion, among the best from the Star Wars movies, and Civil War is just good.
I mean, I just called it, the real Suicide Squad.
Yeah. But that's all I have for 2016, so we can jump on up to 2017, which is a pretty big year for me.
Yeah, same. So much that came out that year.
What did you have for your movie of the year that year?
Logan, fantastic movie. It brought out kind of like that end of kind of my childhood, I felt, because they finish Logan, his story, moving on, although he's coming back, which is great.
We'll see.
Well, not permanently, but at least for one movie.
There are some people, for those who don't know, we're talking about, they revealed the trailer for Deadpool 3 and how Hugh Jackman is going to play Wolverine again, which I mean, we'll see. I have to see the movie, obviously, to really...
I mean, it's Deadpool. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's just... Logan was probably the best, like, send-off movie we've had for a character, especially for one that was played by the same actor for so long. So I feel like with him having such a good final movie, I don't know if I really want to see him come back unless they handle it really well. Which, I mean, it's going to be a comedy. But...
Yeah, it's not... I don't think they're going to, like, actually bring him back into the threshold, you know, back into the frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they're just here for fun. They're going to have him in this episode or in this movie, have their fun that they've wanted to do together.
Yeah.
And then they'll finish it off somehow.
Yeah, Logan isn't my pick of the year for the year, but it is one that I really like. And I wish more stuff we get from Marvel would try and take this sort of approach.
Yeah, I know.
Just, like, it's a very actually emotional movie.
Yeah, it's you know, it's serious. It has humor, emotion, a story that just doesn't feel like a new kid gets superpowers and they have to save the world, you know?
Yeah, it takes itself very seriously, but it works phenomenally well for it.
Yeah.
My pick of the year for that year is Blade Runner 2049. Along the lines with Neil Blomkamp, another one of my favorite directors is Ridley Scott. Like, if we were to go back to some really old movies, you know, the first Alien movie, Alien 2, those are two of my favorite movies. Oh, wow. Ridley Scott did not.
I was like, wait, what are we talking about?
All right, scratch everything I just said. So, Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Really just a solid movie. I mean, we had the first Blade Runner, which I was a very big fan of back in the day. And, you know, to have a sequel come so many years later, you would think maybe it wouldn't quite work, but I think the movie is just really good. I love visually how the movie looks and the story that it tells. It ties in characters from the first Blade Runner movie, and I really like it. And I'm not even a fan of Ryan Gosling, so to have my movie of the year have him as the main actor is pretty nice.
It is pretty good. Quite a few honorable mentions for this year. Jordan Peele writing Get Out. This was like one of his first movies that he brought out. His movies are fantastic to see. I loved Get Out when it first came out. Mm-hmm. Great, just kind of new-based horror, you know?
Yeah.
It's not your typical jump scare. It's just a horrifying situation. Mm-hmm. Another movie that came out that year was Logan Lucky. Was something I also really enjoyed.
I guess I'm just not huge on comedies in general. There's not a lot of comedies in my upper picks. There is one later on. I did see Logan Lucky, and I thought it was a fun time.
It was a good movie. I thought it was a great story. It had like a fun twist to it that I enjoyed. Another movie I enjoyed at the same time that's very similar is Baby Driver. It was really good.
I do like that one.
Movie was great. Another movie you'll have is Alien Covenant. Yeah. We got our second one to Prometheus.
Yeah. See, if we didn't get Blade Runner 2049, Covenant arguably would have been my top pick. Except there is one other movie I might consider.
Yeah. And then we also got John Wick 2. Mm-hmm. Super great movie. I love the trilogy that they made there. A movie I don't know if you would have seen, but it was The Foreigner.
I did see it. I wasn't in love with it.
It's Jackie Chan's movie, and I always am a huge fan of Jackie Chan and his movies, so definitely went to go see it. This one was really fun to see. I just enjoyed watching it. It's kind of like that similar man has to kind of go out of his way to save someone he cares about. So yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. And then they also brought Murder on the Orient Express. Just great acting, great storytelling again. Good murder mystery. And then we had American Assassin. And I think that's all my movies. What are yours?
So we already mentioned Alien Covenant, Logan, Baby Driver, John Wick 2.
You're welcome.
Another big one for me that year was Wind River. Also by the director who did Sicario and Hell or High Water. I think Wind River is the best of the three. It just deals with a kind of murder mystery on a Indian reservation. And it actually had Jeremy Renner and Emily Olsen, the two from the MCU.
Really?
Yeah, as the two main characters. But it's just this really good story that is a little bit of a revenge story, a little bit of a murder mystery, and it's really good. Also highlights some actual issues with how like actual crimes in terms of Indian reservations, a lot of time they just get ignored, which is why the movie was made, to kind of draw attention to that. So I thought it was really solid. I also had The Ritual, which is a horror movie based on kind of Norse mythology, which is why I have a soft spot for it. But it's just this group of hikers that go on a trip and it just goes crazy from there. Not much more that needs to be said. And then also Revenge, which is just a revenge story.
Revenge.
Ironically enough. That one's really good. Little hard to watch. It's another kind of gruesome one at some parts, but it's really solid. And that is everything I have for 2017. Definitely probably the biggest year on this list for me. But
now we can go on to 2018 here.
Yes.
My 2018 pick, honestly, was very difficult for me. There was a lot of movies I really enjoyed this year. But for 2018, I still keep it pretty high on my list is the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is the only Marvel superhero movie I even included because I just enjoyed this movie so much.
Yeah, it should be on my honorable mentions, but I forgot.
But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I loved everything from how they did the storytelling to where they made like jokes that we've told this story so many times. We're going to tell it a few more times, but in our own way. And we're going to do it at a quick speed. Just like, here's our intro. Here's where we get there, you know. The art style for this movie was incredible. How it's literally looking into a comic book.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite kind of moments from an animated movie ever. Is just that scene you get where Miles finally gets his costume and has the scene up on the building.
Right. I loved like the whole album for this movie that they used. They really just kind of threw a lot in there to put this whole like movie together, and I thought they did a great job with it. And what was your pick for the year?
Not a lot for 2018 for me, but there is a movie there that is most definitely like in my top 5, and it's Hereditary. I'm a big fan of A24. Like I mentioned earlier with The Witch. The Witch was my, I guess, technical introduction to A24, but Hereditary is the movie that kind of made me fall more in love with their studio and a lot of their releases.
I mean, it's okay.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
I love Hereditary. It's a mix of psychological horror. It's a movie that deals with the occult, and it's a slow burn, but they put so much work into the characters.
They did put a lot in. It just wasn't. It's not what I was expecting at all, especially from hearing you talk about it so much.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I did watch this one because you kept recommending it so much. I was like, oh, he's been wanting me to watch it. I'll watch it.
I go out of my way to get as many people as I can to watch this movie, and I will admit...
This is a better watch than Midsommar, so I definitely recommend Hereditary over Midsommar any day.
I have like 50% success rate with the people I show this movie. Some people are like, what the hell's wrong with you? And some people are like, wow, that's actually pretty good. Like, my fiance hates it. I had my sister watch it. She hated it. I just adore this movie, though. Like, it's a very dark movie. It doesn't really pull any punches. And you just get to watch this family descend into madness and everything that happens. And I just love it.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Honorable mentions, just really it's like 3 other horror or at least suspense movies. We had Apostle, which was a Netflix exclusive that also dealt with the occult, where this guy he's going to an island to infiltrate a cult to try and save his sister because they're holding her for ransom. And it's a really good one, especially coming from Netflix. I was really surprised with it, and it's just really good. I won't say too much because it looks like you haven't seen it.
I have not seen that one, actually.
Yeah, highly recommended. I also had Overlord, which was a very interesting movie. It's a World War II movie, but it's a zombie movie.
Is it?
Did you not see this one either?
I don't think I saw that one.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Actually, wait. Is that like kind of like World War II?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, I think I did see that one.
Yeah, you had them. They were going just to like destroy a radio tower or something, but then they find out there's this whole facility underneath where they were experimenting with raising the dead.
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember seeing the trailer for that. I was like, that looks cool.
Yeah, it's one I did enjoy quite a bit. Like, it's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a really fun watch.
Yeah, I do remember that. That one was very interesting.
And then lastly, just Annihilation, another movie from Alex Garland.
You know, I have that on my list too, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Like, that is still, to this day, like, the weirdest movie I can think of.
Alex Garland makes some very weird movies.
Because I never looked into, like, why or what the whole reason behind it all was. Mm. But it's still just one of those movies that it's like, that was very interesting to watch. I don't know what I watched, but I watched it.
That's one thing he does a lot, is he'll throw some pretty big curveballs at you in the final parts of the movie. Like, did you see Men from this year?
No.
That's another one. The
Really?
last 20 minutes are very, like, if you think the ending of this movie was weird, the ending of that movie is 20 times weirder.
20 times weirder? Oh, boy.
But yeah, he also did Ex Machina, which I brought up earlier on the list. But that's all I have for 2018.
I actually have quite a few there. I mean, I have Ready Player One, which is just a compilement of all my favorite stuff.
Right.
And I loved the whole thing about it. Like, it was a great movie. I loved all the Easter eggs for it. The world building was very creative and incredible. It's like something that's very recent, so it's all the stuff we all grow up with, plus what we've all been getting as we're getting older, thrown into one. You know, I thought it was a fun movie.
Very much a nostalgia trip.
Yeah. One of like my favorite, I guess it's like a heist movie, is Den of Thieves. I loved the idea of the movie, where the movie like headed in its direction. It's a gang is getting out of jail and they are trying to do another heist, basically just trying to get their lives to be where they want, you know, move on. They're out of prison. They're trying to do a safe heist. It's not like your basic go into a bank and hold people at hostage. They have an agenda and they are trying to do it safe, but there's this squad of detectives that is trying to tail them as well. And
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, and they're scruffy men.
Yeah, I remember the scene where the boyfriend shows up and then he's like taken to the garage for a second.
Yeah.
Big muscly.
Oh, the big Samoan men and everybody in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember it. I didn't like love the movie, but I thought it was fun.
I love those scenes. They're just funny, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it would suck to be in those scenes, but looking towards your future rather than your past, you know, you're like, I can't wait to do that to a future significant other, you know?
Right.
It's fun. Another good movie that came out that year was Extinction. This has Michael, I'm probably going to botch his last name, Pena? He's the dude from Ant-Man. He's the friend.
Why do I feel like I know exactly what this movie is, but I don't remember it?
The whole movie is a Netflix original. And it's these people that are all living their lives on Earth, and there's like aliens that are coming. They're seeing like he keeps getting like these visions of something that's going to happen, and he's trying to save his family.
I remember it now.
Yeah, like that movie was incredible to me because it's just, again, a twist I wasn't expecting, you know?
So not everything from Netflix is all bad.
Yeah, it's very true. A hilarious movie my friends and I loved was Tag. That came out that year. Tag, it literally, as it sounds, it's adults playing an eternal game of tag with each other. They have played since they were kids. They're playing it as adults, and they're very serious about it. Like, they have their spouses in on this.
Yeah.
And they're just trying not to be it, and they have a friend that's never been tagged, and it's Jeremy Renner, and he's just being a ninja and avoiding being tagged.
Yeah, that one I did not see, but I was curious.
It's really fun. It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
The final movie on my honorable mentions here is a movie my friends invited me to go see at the movie theater. I had never even heard of it until they were inviting me to go, and the only thing they could tell me was it's like RoboCop, but rated R. I'm like, okay, and that movie is Upgrade. Was not expecting anything to be, I wasn't having any expectations or nothing for this movie.
That's another one I kind of forgot about, but that is one I liked.
Upgrade was, in my opinion, pretty good. It's, you got your in-plant, futuristic world, auto-driving cars and such, and the movie itself was just really interesting that, like, I just had no expectations for it, and I was like, wow, this is very, very brutal movie. I wasn't expecting to be so brutal.
Yeah, I do remember liking that one. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was, it was a good movie. But that finishes it up for my 2018. We've got 3 more years. 2019 starts.
Yeah, another fairly large year. Not as big as 2017, but this is another year that gave me one of my favorite movies of all time, which is another foreign movie with Parasite. Another South Korean movie. I don't know why, but like so many of the movies I've seen that are from South Korea are just so good. That's what I Saw the Devil came from. Parasite's just a really good...
It's okay.
This movie is so well made.
It was made very well. Like, I can admit where he's coming from, as the fact, though, that I don't feel the same, is where it just contradicts myself here. Because it's like, it was good, but I don't rate it that good.
Yeah, I don't know. I love everything about it. Like, you get this story of a family just trying to, find success. They're all aspiring to do better than they currently are. And even to the point where they find themselves in a situation where they're pretending to work for this rich family, but they're also trying to, like, secretly take over that lifestyle. And I love its looks. It's another movie similar to Elysium that does a lot of comparisons with high class and lower class, which is really interesting to see in South Korea, because this family, you see they're literally living in like a sub-basement apartment. And a beautiful scene in the movie when it rains, and you, like, for the people up top, rain is a beautiful thing. They're like, oh, this is so beautiful. Like, look how pretty the cityscape is. But for the people down living in those basement apartments, their streets are flooding, water's leaking into their house, and it's a nightmare for them. And I love
gross nightmare.
Yeah. I just love how it kind of played with, like, one thing that's something to someone will be entirely different to someone else given their situation.
Like I said, great movie. It has great points, and it has these good, deep messages, but you have to really look at those deep messages.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't do that.
Also, just the whole finale to the movie is nuts.
Yeah, it was. That's true.
Yeah, I love it.
My movie is Jojo Rabbit.
That would have been my pick.
Yeah, that movie is fantastic. What's the director's name again?
That is Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. I'm terrible with names, but his design of this show, of this movie, was incredible. I love that he throws himself in the movies that he makes at times. Mm-hmm. Sometimes his character totally fits and just kind of adds to the show. Yeah, you get this World War II satire where the movie, it is a comedy, and kind of like what I mentioned earlier, this is legitimately the only comedy that's even mentioned on my whole list. Yeah. But it's a movie that I really appreciate for its ability to be funny and be satirical, but also be, like, to the point of tear-jerking or emotional. It's super emotional. Like, you're just kind of pulled in a lot of directions for a lot of the scenes in this movie. And it's literally... Where was it taking place? Because it wasn't in... It was in Germany. It's in Germany. Yeah, so your main character is just this young kid who kind of idolizes Hitler, funny enough. And Hitler in the movie is played by Taika Waititi, which is where a lot of the satire comes from. But yeah, so he's like very much... He idolizes that culture. He's all in. He wants to go be a soldier.
and his imaginary friend is Hitler.
Yeah.
I remember the initial scene where he's like getting dressed to go off to the camp, and Hitler's like, "Give me a Heil Hitler," and he's like, "Heil Hitler." It's a movie that should be a lot more controversial than it is. But
Yeah.
I love it. And
They did a good job for it. And
Yeah.
you even have Scarlett Johansson playing his mother, who her acting as like being a mother is like really incredible. You see her like on a different side of things than your typical Marvel movie.
Yeah, she's a lot of the movie's heart for sure. And I just there's like 2 scenes in this movie that made me tear up a little bit. One, I'm not going to spoil it because this is really a movie you should see. And if I didn't love Parasite as much as I do, it would easily be my pick for this year.
Yep.
Just there's a scene that made me very sad.
Yeah.
And then there's another scene that is a very happy scene that still made me sad. Because I was just like, man, that's like, yeah, go watch it.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. It's got a unicorn in it. A lot of my picks for like honorable mentions comes another Jordan Peele is Us. This is when Us came out. I loved seeing this. I saw it with my friends. This was an incredible movie in my opinion because it just throws together this like crazy world that you're not expecting again.
Us, I actually think I like more than Get Out.
I agree. I do like Us a bit more than I like to Get Out.
Yeah. I like, because it is a very interesting premise for a movie, and I like that it had a little bit more of a horror element. Like, you have the whole home invasion sequence, which is just really good. But a really good twist for the movie, too. And a lot of the music used was really good.
Yeah.
You got that more symphonic kind of string rendition.
Yeah.
Was it like 5 on it or something?
Yeah, 5 on it.
Yeah, really good. Not on my honorable mentions, but it probably should be.
Some of my other ones I have Ready or Not, which is kind of like your more a little hysterical movie, more comic relief for a horror movie.
Yeah, not one I watched, but I did hear a decent bit about it.
It's fun, you know. It's not like a amazing movie, but it was fun the way they put it together.
Right.
My other couple movies was John Wick Chapter 3 came out that year. So that really kind of added more to the universe, which was to the John Wick's movie universe, which was really cool.
I kind of feel like it's the weakest.
It kind of is. It's definitely not as comes out as it's not as strong as your first one.
Yeah.
The second one, Chapter 2 was good, had good combat, good story, but it kind of just more slow developing the world a bit more.
Yeah.
To where the third one, I feel like we still didn't get the answers towards the second one's ending.
Yeah, there's a lot that I really like from John Wick 3, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie by any means. I just mean compared to 1 and 2, it's not as good. But I am very much excited. We have John Wick 4 a few months away, so.
My other movie was Glass, which continued the Unbreakable and Split M. Night Shyamalan series. How dare
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Grass.
Yeah, go touch grass instead of watching this movie.
Glass. Definitely, it's not like a fantastic movie, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it does complete the series that I wanted to see. And I like the world still. It's still a very intriguing world. My other 2 movies was Fighting with My Family was fun. It's just kind of a good family story of a family in London that's wrestlers going to America to become professional wrestlers. And you've got The Rock in there, and he's funny. So it's just kind of a nice movie. It was enjoyable. And then my a good horror movie that kind of ties into the Conjuring universe is Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah, as far as my honorable mentions, so a couple of them we mentioned with Jojo Rabbit and John Wick 3. One I'm kind of surprised you didn't mention was Joker.
Well, there's reasons for that. I wasn't as much of a fan as Joker.
Really?
I truly wasn't. Like, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, is a great Joker. I'm not going to say he's not my Joker, but I just didn't really care for like the story for this idea.
Really? I thought this
Like-
was pretty fantastic because, you know, when it comes to them, kind of like with Logan,
Yeah.
we always get the same thing from DC and Marvel. Logan
Yeah.
was a big departure from what we had been used to, and we can say the same here with Joker. And I just thought it was really good.
I mean, if we wanted something like on a level base than that I feel like I'd be really interested in a story of a live action story would be The Batman Who Laughs. A live action story where a Batman, Bruce Wayne, kills the Joker, falls into the sickness that the Joker takes control, and then he goes on that kind of killing spree that he goes on. That sounds like a dark story that I would be more interested in.
I don't know.
Whereas this Joker story just doesn't fit because I know a ton of Joker stories, and I just don't. This one doesn't really fit because they're trying to make it that this 40-year-old man is technically Bruce's older brother.
Well,
and
that's the thing you have to consider, though. This has pretty much nothing to do with the actual extended universe, which I'm fine with. They don't even really reveal to you if this is the legitimate Joker. It's kind of right on that like he's more of an inspiration for what's to come. But I thought the movie worked really well because it's another movie where you can easily root for the main character who is obviously not a well or good person, but you get behind a lot of his motives and what drives him because of the way society kind of looks at him and treats him throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really good, just as a straight up character analysis movie.
Yeah,
You know,
I it's kind of those things where this wasn't really what I was super interested in.
You do have to look at it completely separate from the actual lore with Batman and everything.
Yeah.
But even if you took out everything DC about this and just had it be the very same story without actually having the Joker be mentioned, this movie would work even just as well.
I feel like it probably would have worked better then. If you would have taken out the DC aspect, made it on its own, then this movie would have turned out way better because it's not trying to do something or trying to relate to something that it's not relating to. Then.
Yeah, I guess it just depends how you look at it. But I thought it was really good. You know, it was a...
I mean, like I said, they did fantastic scripting, story. His acting for this movie was great. They had great things, but it just wasn't for me kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's very good.
What else you got?
I also had Midsummer, another movie from A24. I will admit the first time I watched this movie, because I had massive expectations after Hereditary, and the first time I watched this, I was a little let down.
You're like, what the heck?
But then I watched it a second time. And that was actually with... Was that? No, that was with Brianna and my sister and her husband. I got them to watch it for the first time, me for my second time, because I was always curious. I'm like, maybe if I watch it again, I'll like it. And lo and behold, after a second viewing, I completely flipped my opinion on this movie. And now I really like it. Yeah, it's weird, for sure. But it's another movie that kind of deals with the occult, and while it's dealing with the occult and everything going on with the actual plot, you have the dance between Danny and her boyfriend and how it's a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I liked her story, and I love the fact that the entire movie is depicted in one picture right at the start of the movie. And I love the message that it sends out, the details. It's just weird.
It's extremely weird.
It's
I won't
extremely
even try
weird.
and fight you on that point. I think I appreciate it a lot more now that I've seen it.
Go in knowing you're gonna see something you probably don't want to see.
This is true. Another horror movie I had, also from A24, I love A24, is Saint Maud.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, I didn't know much about it either, but somewhere it was recommended to me, and it's just it's a movie where you have this character who's Catholic trying to stay right by God, but continuously she falters with her kind of faith in it, and the movie plays with the idea of her trying to save this other person who she's caretaking for before she passes away. but it deals then with a little bit of psychological horror. It's just pretty wild, and the ending of this movie, there's one particular scene that just gives me butterflies every time that I watch it, and it just blows my mind, and it is one I would highly recommend.
Yeah, it has good.
Another a good war movie, 1917. One thing you'll know about me with horror. No, did I say horror movies?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. War, 1917. I really like Hacksaw Ridge. I know a lot of people really like Dunkirk. I thought Dunkirk was extremely boring.
But it was
1917 is really good, though, because it was filmed really cool to where it seems like it's all one shot. Did you watch this one? Or
I don't remember if I did or not.
Oh, okay.
Like, I could have sworn I went and saw it, but I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, just a World War I movie where it's all filmed as though it's done in one continuous shot as this guy just moves across the landscape to get to his final objective, which is to let this general know about an oncoming attack or something, that they have to cancel an attack before people end up dying.
You know, I think I did watch it. That does sound familiar.
Super simple premise, but I mostly have this on here because of how it was filmed. It just looks really good. And then, yeah, that's all I have for 2019 as far as my honorable mentions. So we can move to 2020, which is a very short year.
It's a very short year of terrible, terrible movies.
Yeah, we just didn't get a lot, and it's probably still to do with COVID, you know.
Yeah. So.
Hard to make a movie with new restrictions like that, but what did you have for your main pick?
You should say yours first, so it's stupid. Oh. I really couldn't find anything for mine.
Yeah,
so
I only have 3 movies listed, and honestly, I wouldn't put any of them like in my top 25, but
yeah.
My number 1 was The Empty Man, which I do really like. The movie does have some problems, but there's a lot that I really like about the movie. It's another horror movie that's kind of a thinker. Like, it does put a lot of questions and it leaves a lot of stuff unanswered.
Yeah, I never saw this one. I don't even remember like hearing about it.
Nobody really knows about this movie.
I might have heard of it, but I don't remember it at all.
But there's a few really good sequences, and I love how it ends, and it's very interesting. Like,
I might give it a better try, because it might rate higher than the movie I have listed currently.
Like, there are things in the movie that I don't like, but there's a lot of stuff in the movie that I do really like, so I think it's worth putting here for me.
So, for mine, I literally could not find anything better. And I just decided, this movie's got a good, taste to it. Mine is a Netflix original, The Babysitter Killer Queen. Do you know this movie?
I don't. Slow year, huh?
It was at least decently funny. It's a horror movie. It's not. It's just entirely humor. But the fact that they pulled it off is kind of cool. The fact that the first one came out a few years before this. The same cast is all used in this.
Yeah.
Even your main character, the boy, the first one, it's literally a boy gets a babysitter. He totally thinks she's hot, blah, blah, blah. And she tells him to go to bed, and she was going to put him to sleep permanently because she is actually a part of an evil cult worshipping an evil book for Satan to give them everything they ever wanted.
Cool.
He doesn't drink the stuff, though, so he's able to wake up and see that they are cult worshipping teenagers that are going to try and kill him. And it's just funny. It's completely humorous, the first one. And they did the exact same characters and cast for the second one, continuing off on the story, using the same amount of time that has passed in real life for the movie. I love when stuff does that, because then it really fits into the setting of the movie.
Yeah.
And the second one was just really funny. I love how they went with it. It is the exact same thing as the first one. They're all trying to kill him again, and he keeps killing them in really gross, disturbing ways.
So Home Alone, but more extreme.
Yeah, it's a Home Alone, but rated R. And it's really funny, you know. Wasn't expecting to like it, and I totally enjoyed it.
Interesting.
My honorable mention that we both have is His House.
Another Netflix exclusive.
Yeah, and super weird, but a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a horror movie. I don't even know how to really describe the story for this one.
I mean, it's Africans that are like kind of coming to the U.S. They are on a low loan visa or something. They're still not fully American citizens, but they're trying to become such.
Right.
And they move in. They're brought over. They're given this home, this like in a controlled residential area, and if they do well there, they can be released into the country to live as a normal citizen.
Yeah.
And they move into this house, and it gets weird.
Right. Yeah, it does deal with some actual. I don't know if it's like an urban legend for them or mythology, but I forget the name. But there's an entity there that's haunting them because of something they did, which is revealed in the movie, which I won't spoil because it was pretty cool and a big revelation for the film. But really cool what they do with it. I like how it sets up its scares. It's not a traditional like jump scare.
Yeah,
it's very atmospheric.
Yeah, no, his like super like creep factor just around the whole every corner, the music for it that brings it in.
Noises in the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
So those are my only two things I have.
Yeah, the last one I had was Unhinged, which I think is Russell Crowe. Let me do some fact checking. Oh man, it's only got 3 stars on IMDb.
Okay. Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, so super simple premise for a movie, but it basically is just road rage. So you get a situation early on in the movie where someone honks at Russell Crowe. Lo and behold, Russell Crowe is like at the breaking point of his life, and he's had it. So he's just like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna go nuts and torment this lady that honked at me for the rest of the movie, and it gets crazy. Like Russell Crowe. I don't
remember seeing this at all. Yeah. That's crazy.
Russell Crowe does legitimately get unhinged in this movie, and there's a lot that happens, and it's just a good thriller. Like it was a kind of an edge of your seat kind of movie, and it's good.
Point of the movie is don't honk at anybody in real life.
Yeah, you never know when they've had just a really bad day. So yeah, it was a fun one. It's one I did enjoy watching. But we can go ahead and move to the final year on our list here. 2021, which I think was actually a pretty decent year.
It had some good movies. We even saw together, you know?
Yeah, compared to 2020, we did get some actual really big releases for this year. So we'll talk about my first one here. Surprise, another A24 movie with The Green Knight, which admittedly half the people that watch this movie won't like it, but
I actually didn't even hear about this one. Yeah. I tried looking it up. I was like, I have no clue what this movie is.
Yeah, I was interested in seeing it because I watched a trailer and it gave me a lot of the same vibes from The Witch. Not in terms of it being a horror movie, but in terms of how it's filmed with the cinematography. And I think this is just a gorgeous movie. It just deals with kind of the King Arthur mythology, except you've got Sir Gawain, I think is his name, but it's about his journey trying to, adapt more of the traits of a knight. He's portrayed as being kind of a coward in the movie, and he goes on this journey to kind of prove people wrong.
Huh.
And it's really good.
Yeah, I don't recall this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it is a very slow burn, but it's just so beautiful with how it's filmed and a lot of the scenery. So I highly recommend it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Might check it out. Mine's very typical. It was the only really big movie that came out, I feel, which is Dune.
That's my second place for the year.
I thought it was a great movie, I'm happy I didn't have to go to the movie theater at the time. I got to kick my feet up, pause it if I needed to.
Oh, but it's such a good one to watch in the theater. We actually saw this one
That's a topic for another time, okay? Movie theater versus at home.
Yeah, we watched this one in D-Box, which is like the motion seats. And I remember the sequence where they're flying over the desert, and my seat was shaking, and I was like, "This is awesome.
This is cool." See, I like I said, that is a whole other topic. But yes, you have good aspects you can do in the movie theaters. Then, unless you're rich, you can just do it home.
Yeah.
Or you can go at home and have the one aspect that you can never have at a movie theater, and that is called a pause button.
I didn't want to pause it. It was so good.
Yeah, well, bathroom breaks are essential in the movie experience.
Yeah, this one was also directed by Denis Villeneuve, who did Blade Runner 2049. So I knew going in this was going to be one that I would like, just because he really.
I mean, I just known that like the movie has been made before. It's a really popular book series, and a ton of people were all like, "Oh, I'm so looking forward to this."
Yeah.
Like my older brother, who's not an avid movie watcher, was like, "I'm excited to see this movie." And he loved it.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Dune prior. I just remember I saw the trailer and I was like, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of star power too, with like Jason Momoa, what's his name? Josh Brolin.
Yeah, Josh Brolin. Yeah, no, they had a ton of good stuff for this that did really well.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm very excited for the second part. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I like with how large this movie was. Of course, we got our meme from it too, which was really funny. My favorite part is like the what is such a dark and serious scene is it's the enemies. They're all like doing their chanting, and you see just like everybody is like there's like the pool of bloods. There's an entire meme where someone's just screaming cheeseburger, hamburger.
What? I have not even heard.
It's really funny. I love stuff when they do that for some movies.
Yeah, it's just Denis Villeneuve has a really keen eye for cinematography, and very similar to Blade Runner 2049. The movie's just filmed very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, they just do a good job, you know. They don't throw in our real world problems. They create fake world problems.
I mean, you can take these fake world problems and tie them into a lot of our real world.
You can do that with literally everything, though. Okay. It takes time to do it, though. At least.
Yeah. Moving into the honorable mentions, I just have a handful.
I think one of them we both have is Nobody.
Nobody, yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, it's another movie that's very much like John Wick-esque.
Yeah.
But it's unique because it approaches it more from a comedy angle while being still kind of serious. And you get to see, I don't know his name, but the actor who plays Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He's the main character in the movie.
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, you get to see him kind of fulfill the John Wick role. But the one thing this movie does that I enjoyed is it shows that, yes, he's very good at killing people, but he's very rusty. And he does kind of get
beat up a lot in there.
He gets beat up. But it is a really fun one. I remember the whole final sequence when they show up at the warehouse or whatever it was, and his grandpa's there or his dad, and I was like, it was just fun.
Mm-hmm. I love the humor aspect they throw in there. Like they're in the warehouse, and there's the days without incidents, and he wipes the board,
sets it back to 0. Yeah. Another honorable mention I had was The Night House, which is another sort of psychological horror thriller.
I don't think I heard that one, actually.
It's pretty good. It's just this lady was recently widowed. Her husband killed himself, and the movie dives into her trying to figure out why. And then the movie kind of goes off on its own thing from there, where you're trying to say, like, man, what was this guy up to before he took his life? And the movie kind of plays with you and leads you to think something is the way that you perceive it to be, but then it kind of bait and switches it and gives you some really good revelations and twists for the story. Also, the Suicide Squad, the better Suicide Squad, in my opinion.
I don't think I saw the new one.
Oh, no?
No, yeah. Because I saw the first one. But isn't this literally the same cast, though?
Not entirely. You do get Margot Robbie back.
Isn't this the one with Peacekeeper then?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did see this one actually.
Oh, okay.
Which makes me question, how was this one better? I didn't care for it as much. Again, like
I thought it was
like
leaps and bounds. I mean, you don't get the cringy Jared Leto Joker.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of the, like, I don't know, just the, I think it was 2016.
I feel like with a few cast choices, they're nailing cast-wise, because you've got Margot Robbie as Harley, who just does a fantastic job. We've got Amanda Waller. Thank you. Amanda Waller, her actor, phenomenal. Like, I am seeing a live-action Amanda Waller here. Like, that is her character. I don't know Peacekeeper comic book wise or even animated wise, so I don't know if John Cena. Apparently, you can see him in this now. So.
Yeah, like you get John Cena, Idris Elba, another standout. He plays what was the guy's name? I don't remember. Bloodsport, something like that. I thought it was a lot better. I think the story's better, the characters are better. 2016 Suicide Squad, I just don't think was very good.
King Shark was really fun. I liked his character.
Yeah, I thought it was a big step up from the previous iteration.
I think I do remember it now because I'm remembering I again got to watch this one at home.
Yeah. I watched it in the theater.
Oh, I did not. Theaters were terrible at the time, and I had quit that job, so I was like, I don't want to go there right now.
And then last one on my list for honorable mentions is Lamb, which is another A24 movie. This one's actually foreign. I think it was Norwegian or something, but it's a very slow burn, kind of like every other A24 movie. But I liked it. I love foreign movies, and to get one from A24 was a special treat for me this year, so recommended.
Yeah, and then I've got a few of mine. Another movie I had that came out in 2021 was Free Guy, which was, I just enjoyed movies like Ryan Reynolds puts together, you know.
Yeah, I had fun with it.
It's a fun, enjoyable movie. It's crazy. It's, wacky characters. Good time. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Then we have my one anime movie that I will talk about is Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with Demon Slayer.
No. I may watch the Demon Slayer series, but I am not the hardcore number one fan. Go Demon Slayer. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. I love the meme where it's like, hey, describe what anime I'm talking about. And it's kid with asthma fights Michael Jackson. So yeah, no, Jujutsu Kaisen is the newer, is like this new outcoming anime series. You have the series that has come out, like 13 episodes, and this movie is a prequel to the series. It doesn't have the main character from the series, doesn't even mention him because they don't know him yet. Yeah. And it ties into a new character that I'm looking forward to meeting in the present day series. And it's just phenomenal animation style. I'm loving the series, the world building that they're doing. I'm really excited to see where they go.
Yeah. I have not watched Jujutsu Kaisen, but I heard it's good. I don't watch a ton of anime.
Yeah,
just kind of here and there.
You're breaking both the nerd.
Yeah. But was that your last one?
Yep, that is all of mine.
Okay. So yeah, that should wrap up our lists. Just kind of, we wanted to do the same thing we did with gaming to give you our palette of movies we've enjoyed over the previous years. One thing to look forward to is we are going to be doing our top 10 games of the year and movies of the year for 2022 here in the next few episodes. So be excited for that if you want to check them out.
Woo! Movies, games, year.
But with that, we'll go ahead and close out here. If you are interested in giving us a follow, you can check us out on Twitter as well as Instagram. You can check the description for those channel names. We are also on YouTube if you want to watch and support us there. With that, though, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this episode, and hopefully we can catch you guys in the next episode. We're going to be doing something pretty fun, which is critiquing the gaming industry in 2022. So look forward to that. And with that, we will see you guys later.
Thanks for listening and have a good day.
Yes, indeed. Bye-bye. M. Night Shyamalan sucks.
How dare you?